This week, there's a lot of big-time college football matchups, with the most notable one being the clash of the Titans. Georgia traveling to Tuscaloosa to play Bama. But the game that perhaps has the biggest impact on the college football playoffs and on a big blue blood team is Louisville going to South Bend to play Notre Dame, the Fighting Irish. This game has a lot of big-time implications for Notre Dame. It's going to determine how their season will lay out the rest of the year and also Marcus Freeman's future. Since taking over as the head coach for Notre Dame in 2022, Marcus Freeman has been very subpar. He hasn't met the standards of Notre Dame. When you're the coach for the Fighting Irish, the goal and the expectation is to make the playoffs, obviously win the national championship, but it's at least get there and have a chance at it. In his first year as a full-time coach for Notre Dame, he went 8-4 in the regular season, and he was out of the playoffs by week 2 because in the 4-team format, as soon as you suffer 2 losses, there's no way, shape, or form you're getting into the playoffs. Notre Dame lost to Ohio State and then lost to Marshall. Last year, 2023, in the regular season, Notre Dame went 9-3, and they were out of the playoffs by week 7 because they suffered a loss to Ohio State early in the year, and then they lost to Louisville week 7. This year, same scenario applies. Yes, there's more teams that make the playoffs. 12 teams can get in. And I do think there's a possibility of one, maybe two 10-2 teams getting in, but very slim chance. 11-1 teams will definitely get in. But the situation with Notre Dame is that if they go 10-2, their schedule and their record and how it all lays out, there's no way, shape, or form they get in. Because once you go 10-2, it comes down to your strength of schedule. And Notre Dame does not have the strength of schedule. If they go 11-1, though, where they win against Louisville, a win against A&M, a win against Southern Cal, they're automatically into the playoffs. There's no question about it. And that's why this game against Louisville is so important. Because with a win, they have an easy schedule ahead to allow for them to go 11-1 and make the playoffs. With a loss, it's going to be the third time in 3 years that Marcus Freeman is eliminated from the playoffs by week 7 or earlier, with this year being week 5. He had that loss to Northern Illinois early in the year. So with one more loss, he's 10-2 and he won't get in. He's not in a conference. Notre Dame's not in a conference. So there's no automatic bid. So some teams might be able to say, well, we go 10-2 in the regular season, yeah, but we can win our conference. We can get in. I think a Big 12 school could potentially go down that route. But the situation for Notre Dame is that they're an independent. They can't do that. They can't bank on a conference win. And I want to explain why 10-2 for Notre Dame is a no-go and 11-1 for Notre Dame is 100% you're in. When you look at Notre Dame and the teams that you could say are in the same trajectory, kind of in the same bubble as them, it's the Penn States and the Michigans of the world. Okay. Ohio State, Texas, those teams they're going to win their conference. Well, I guess Texas is. I think Alabama can get in with a really good record. They're going to be A-okay. Ohio State win their conference. But Michigan, Penn State, the teams that are second or third best in their conference, Notre Dame will edge them out if they're all 11-1. And the reason why I say that is because of the quality of wins. When you look at football, right, it's about, did you beat the teams that were really good and did you lose to bad teams? They value a quality win and a bad loss to a bad team more than beating a bad team and losing to a good opponent. Now, basketball, different story, but we're talking about football. If Notre Dame goes 11-1, they would have ranked wins over Texas A&M, Louisville, and Southern California. If Penn State goes 11-1, their most likely loss is to an Ohio State. So they would have 2 ranked wins and a ranked loss. They would beat Illinois and Southern Cal, but they would lose to Ohio State. And in the committee's eyes, beating 3 ranked opponents and having a fluke game against Northern Illinois will get Notre Dame into the playoffs over a Penn State who, yes, they might have a better loss, but the idea is, well, they lost to a team that they might, if they want to compete, they would have to beat in the playoff format. There's no excuse. They're just not good enough to compete with the best of the best. With Notre Dame, if they have a loss to a bad team, they can say, well, you know what? It was a fluke week. It was a really bad team. We should have won. It just didn't work out the way it should have. And you can overlook that. Now, if they go 10-2, as I mentioned, then they're out of the playoffs. There's no automatic bid, but strength of schedule is a big reasoning. Once you go 10-2, that's when strength of schedule kicks in. And it's the idea of that, well, they're 10-2. None of these teams, Notre Dame, Michigan, Penn State, they're all 10-2. We understand they can't beat the top of the top, but are they just a good opponent? Can they put up a good fight? Are they the best? Who's the best out of those 3 schools? And when you're 10-2, strength of schedule kicks in, and Notre Dame won't win that battle. Yes, you could say some random argument, anybody can, that this conference or that conference is overrated, right? But if you look at the schedule and just the pure teams you're playing, Notre Dame can schedule whoever they want, and it's very easy to see that their strength of schedule does not stack up with the best of the best. Penn State, let's say you take away the powerhouse of Ohio State in their conference, they would still have quality wins over Indiana, Maryland, West Virginia. Well, you look at Notre Dame and you look at their strength of schedule outside of the ranked opponents, they're beating up on a bunch of MAC teams. Miami of Ohio, right? They're beating up on a subpar ACC school, Virginia. Okay. They're not beating anybody that's really that powerful of a team in terms of who's the best of the mid, right? Penn State has that advantage. So a 10-2 Penn State would get in over a 10-2 Notre Dame because the strength of schedule is there. While 11-1 Notre Dame in this scenario would get in over 11-1 Penn State because they would have more quality wins. They would beat 3 ranked opponents, while Penn State would beat 2 ranked opponents. And then for Notre Dame, they would say, you know what, to the committee, hey, we lost Northern Illinois. We understand that, but it was a fluke game. That's not who we are. We can compete with the best of the best. So all in all, if Notre Dame wants to make the playoffs, they have to win against Louisville, or else there's a 0% chance they get in. And if Marcus Freeman wants to keep his job, he has to win this game. He has to make the playoffs because Notre Dame has equipped him all 3 years, especially these past 2, with everything he's needed to make the playoffs. They gave him a schedule that was good, but not insanely hard to compete in to win games. They gave him 2 great transfer quarterbacks, Sam Hartman and Riley Leonard. They've given him everything he's needed to get to the playoffs. And now it's a 12-team format. And if he doesn't make the playoffs, there's no way he's going to be the coach at Notre Dame anymore because the need for Freeman at Notre Dame just isn't there, right? When you look at these blue blood programs, Alabama, Georgia, Notre Dame, Ohio State, Texas, it doesn't matter who their coach is, they're always going to get the best of the best in the recruiting classes. Notre Dame consistently always has a top 10 recruiting class, whether it's Marcus Freeman as a coach or Brian Kelly. They always have the best classes, and it's not because of their coach. It's because of the brand. Texas could be 6-6. Notre Dame could be 4-8, but players will be gravitated to go to those programs because the brand is so big. It's bigger than the coach. Now you look at other schools where the coach matters more than the brand. Two coaches that come to mind, Dabo Swinney at Clemson, Deion Sanders at Colorado. If Deion Sanders wasn't at Colorado, these transfer players that they're getting, like Travis Hunter, they won't be showing up to the program. They wouldn't go to Colorado. Even their recruits, Jordan Sean, a 5-star top tackle in his recruiting class, wouldn't go to Colorado if Deion Sanders wasn't there. You look at Clemson. Clemson's always been a good program, but Dabo Swinney made him a blue blood. And if Dabo were to leave Clemson, he takes away that blue blood pedigree. And instead of Clemson getting top 10 recruiting classes, top 5 recruiting classes, 5 stars, and more 5 stars, they would seep down in the rankings, be more of a top 20, top 25, because Dabo is bigger than the school's brand. And that's just the name of the game. Some coaches mean more to the school, well, the school means more to the coaches. And in Notre Dame's case, the school means more to the coach and Marcus Freeman than Freeman does to Notre Dame. So if he has 3 straight years of disappointment, 3 straight years of missing the playoffs, 3 straight years of being eliminated by week 7 or earlier, there's no way, shape, or form he keeps his job after the season. You guys let me know your thoughts. How big of a game is this for Notre Dame and Marcus Freeman? Thank you so much for listening, and please subscribe.